Had to go feed the chickens. Sorry about that. I got tangled and it took a little bit longer than I was expecting and the whole bit. Sorry about that, traders. Doc here from North America. Thank goodness it's Monday. Just another fun-filled day. So here we are, and let's see what we got going on here. I'm opening up the fact check spreadsheet. Let's get that going. Where are you? You're all the way back down to right. Augie Doggy 16. There it is. That's right. It's August. It's August. And so there is the fact check spreadsheet starting to pop open. You can see we have J4X up there, right there. Let's get the Swiss in there this morning. Let's try that one more time. Let's get the Swiss in there. What's up with that? There it goes. There we go. Let's get the Swiss in there, like so. And there's no doubt currencies are moving it, just jumping all over the place, just the same. That is where we are at, and that's where we are going. There we go. Yes, indeed. Okay, you can see that, and let's fix the fact check spreadsheet so you can see that. Can you see it now? There we are. There we are, and then we'll move that over like so. There we are. And you can see the Swiss is going down against the dollar, which obviously means dollar's losing some value, and the Swiss is having some value, type of thing right there. And then let's slide in. Let's see, where is it at? We'll open that up now. Now we need to open up the Chicago Quant dollar against the Swiss and see where we are on a weekly and daily and so forth. And popping that open at the same time. And there we go. Oh, you don't just find the screen share to it. There we are. There is the screen share. We'll find it. It's right there. And let's shift it to 2. Is it 2? Yes, 2. There we are. And that is the New Zealand against the dollar. Now let's put the Swiss in there. You can see doing the same exact thing. It's hit those green lines we've been staring at. Did not go after the dashed lines. It seems to be in some oddly down slope. Maybe the central bank, the Federal Reserve / the U.S. Treasury is trying to change the range. We'll see if that is really happening. And you can see here we are. How did it go? We're on fact line 21. So we are 4 weeks in a sell, and you can see that it didn't make it into the buy on Friday, and you can see it's heading right back into the sell here on Monday. So not bad. It's keeping us in the trend, and that trend is your friend, and that friend says if you're long, you be wrong, and that's exactly what's going on there. All right, let's take a look at the chat line and see if anybody is even stopping in to visit this morning. Do we have some people visiting? We do. I see people up there. I see Moses there. Hey, got tied up with the chickens. My daughter couldn't take care of them. I had to go run down there. I have about a quarter-mile walk, I guess. Is it a quarter mile? Yeah, about a quarter mile. What's that? It's like it's almost half of a kilometer. A round trip, walking all the way down to the bottom end of the farm, or halfway through it, or something like that. So we got tangled up there a little bit. Sorry about that. But here we are, and there you go. You can see that, and let's get the Chicago Quant one on there. You can see the J4X is moving down just right. You can see the lines being broken here. You see the red Hinkiashis developed, and over here on Chicago Quant, I'll just put it like that. Something like that right there. You can just about see both of them together, which is kind of cool. You can see we were at 1 day in a daily sell already. That was yesterday, or Friday, that is. And you can see we have a couple days of red, just like we have it on J4X right there. You can see the white line has pierced, like our white line has pierced the 0 line. And we like to call this dashed line the 3-dimensional 0 line. And so that's where we are. Wow, we're getting some bodies in here this morning. This is odd. We're not used to seeing a Monday with bodies. So this is pretty good. Everybody's like waking up and thinking, oh, maybe I need to pay attention. Maybe now. Yeah, we went into a weekly buy in gold on Friday. And let me just show you that, because gold is a currency. And you can see there, it went into the buy. And it's we got something up on the top screen. Someone asked for something. We threw it up there. What is this? It's the I think what it is the gas 7. Yeah, it's a gas 7 on the daily. Trying to figure out the range. Yeah, a gas 7, not a gas line. And we threw it up there, and it's trying to see how when it kind of plays the bottom end of that 2 standard deviation of our mathematics, and then climbs up to the -2 standard deviation to a +2 standard deviation. And then maybe we should change that a little bit more, but make them a little bit wider or something. And the 1 standard deviation is the gold lines that we use normally. So you can see there when it gets through them and starts supporting that area, kind of interesting. Then when it breaks down, you get your breakdown. You can see it through this also, and you can see it through the weeklies and so forth. But someone asked us for that, so I threw that up there. They didn't ask for that, but they asked me if I could try to show a projection of where gold could go. So on Friday we sent, Thursday morning something like that, I think we sent that out here, it was like right there. And Friday you can see it's still climbing, and it's trying to climb to this 1 standard deviation of our nonlinear time manifold. Boy, that's a mouthful right there alone, And then you got a 2 standard deviation in the blue dashed line. So, but that's gold. They're trying to lift it. And it jumped into the weekly buy right there. I'm a little surprised it doesn't have the weekly buy line there. There it is. There we are. And that is supposed to be. It's just remove that like that. There we are. And so you can see that action. I think we were emphasizing something about the daily sell right here, how choppy it was, and not, but we were in a weekly sell, and so it was like, okay, be short, and somewhere's in here you get short, be it there, and you see it kind of twisted you around to the point where right there it still did it, and then we went into a daily buy, almost missed it, then it pushed, couldn't get into the daily buy there again. And it fell all the way down. We did a long conversation about this about a month ago, about how the daily sell was keeping us honest, but it was a horrible ride. Now, if you're trading, the derivatives, like binaries or options, it was okay. But if you're trading hard delta, it was an ugly ride, and we talked about that. I think we had a big circle there at one time going with that. But that's kind of neat. So let me just do this. I'm going to save that one. And so that's the gold. I think it's just well worth, paying attention to like that, with those crazy lines there, because this is the one we send out to everybody right there without those lines up there. But I find it fascinating. There's no doubt about that. All right. Let me see. Where are we going from here? We are going for, and you can see that daily sell, it tried to give you a profit a couple times, or at least a break even. Then when it gave us the volatility signal right here, you knew that, it was like, one thing's going to happen, one or the other is going to break down. But you saw this action too, so you had to be very concerned that now it was heading for the minus time manifold. So, there's warning signs. It's not the easiest, but there are warning signs that unless you're in a pair of you're in a binary situation or an option situation, you got to be careful. And that's what we always tell you. Be careful. That's the whole idea. The idea is to make money, not trade. Make money. All right. So now we jump back to the currencies, and let's take a look at the euro right there. And there's the euro. You can see it's starting to back off. It went into the buy on Friday, and you can see that on the fact check spreadsheet. That's line 14 right there. And we got 10 weeks now in a sell, and 1 day in a buy. So it's not exactly welcoming us to be long. Okay? We talked about that last week. just because it's popping. I think I referred to it on Schrodinger's birthday was last week. I think it was the 10th. The fellow who came up with the kitty cats that could be alive or dead in a trunk of a car. And it was a quantum physics thing back in the 30s. Cars were not as big back then either. So, but in the end result is that, so we refer to it as the dead cat bounce. And sure enough, it's trying to do its dead cat thing. We got still above the line, and you can see the green dots, but you can see the candle is trying to break down, and the white line is trying to break down, and we are still in a weekly sell, even this today, waking up, you know. And when we go and look at it on J4X, right there. Oh, there we go. Maxine 19, correlation with euro. Yes, there it is, right there. It's you know, it's you can see it trying to lift up here. Just the same correlation. Oh, it hasn't curved yet. You got the hinky ashes green, and our work is starting to break down. This should start to curve here in the next the next hour or so. So we'll see what they do there. See if it does. It will catch up. You know, again, this is the best free indicator you can find. That combination of the two. Douglas, good to see you. How you doing? Morning to you too. I had to run down and feed the chickens today. So it was like, you know, don't want them to have issues with all this hot weather. And they are yielding so many nice eggs. They deserve it. They're good girls. So, sorry I was a little late here. So that's what we're seeing here, is we're seeing that action on the euro, where it's trying to roll over, which is kind of like the reverse action of what's going on in the dollar Swiss. Yeah, it's the reverse, because see, dollar Swiss is picking up value by going down. The euro against the dollar is trying to roll over, and that's losing value against the dollar. So we're back into that same thing again, where the euro is going on a walkabout. And speaking of walkabouts, let's go and see a commonwealther, and that is the cable right there. You can see it's closed in a daily buy, and it's still holding up. And the weekly, which went into a sell on Friday, is already through the weekly buy number this morning. You know, it's showing life in it. So we'll see if it holds up to that. And we'll make that pinkish, like so, representing the sell. And what do we see? We see, let's move that over, we're already moving into a buy. It's like, whoa, they're really kicking it up. That's kind of cool. And that's what's so wonderful about quantitative math. You know, it keeps us honest in the marketplace. And you can see here we're having a little pressure here, you know, like the way the euro is having pressure. But when you actually look at the product, and you don't see a red dot, so it's kind of like, and this is going up. It's like, it's really screaming, do not have a position. Do not have a position. That's like Friday. Closes in a daily buy right there. And then, let's put that in there. It closes in a daily buy on Friday with it confirming a weekly sell. It's telling you you're supposed to be neutral. Unless you're trading binaries or options, you got to be neutral, okay? And then it's now wakes up on a Monday morning and goes, roar, see me roar, and look at it, it's trying to be strong here. So that's interesting action. So correlation with now Maxine 19, you know, you see that 19? You know, the euro again is breaking into its own again, away from the British pound and the Swiss. Notice that against the dollar? Those pairs are working differently than the euro. Is that what you mean by correlation with the euro? Maybe you can give me an idea on something like that. I'm trying to see what you're talking about, the correlation with the euro. I think the last couple of weeks we've been talking about this a little bit more, and that is the correlation of the euro versus, say, the other majors has been a little bit skittish. You know, it hasn't been really correlating, and you know, 10 weeks in a weekly sell at the same time in the euro. Let's go back to that euro. Oh, it's on there. You can see it on the bottom. You can see that right. Where's Mr. and Mrs. Mouse? There it is. You can see that 10 weeks. So you know, there's July. There's June. So you got to figure we're looking at June. We've been in a weekly sell since up in here. This thing has been finding ways to go down every time it goes up. Now that was interesting. They showed a lot of life on that, but it's still, look where it's at, no more than 5-6 trading days later. It really couldn't hold up. It's kind of like, reminds me of that little hump we had in the Mexican peso. You know, it does remind me of that. Oh, okay. Thank you, 19. Yes, yeah. You know, do you see it the same way? Are you picking that up too? In whatever way you follow the euro, are you seeing that also, where it's breaking away from the majors? I find it a little curious. I'm not sure what that's all about. And you know what we've learned watching the euro against the Turkish lira, and that is that it's very insightful. You know, the euro is very insightful. Does that tell us that king dollar is not necessarily, when we see it weak against, say, Swiss and cable, is it trying to tell us something more than we realize? That's what it's always interesting to try to figure out what the quant is telling us, because in the end the quant is always right. No matter what the story is, no matter what we think, no matter what the politicians are saying, not even the central bank. You know, it seems like the quants always are ahead of the curve. Now let's do this. Let's go back to line 14, and we're looking at 10 weeks, right? And then we're only looking at 1 week in cable in a weekly sell, and it's already jumping back into the buy. Okay, so then we go and look at line 21, right there. We're 4 weeks in a sell in the Swiss. Let's go back over to the Swiss through the Chicago quant. You know, I want to see that weekly again, right there. So it just missed getting into a buy here, which is interesting. And what it did is it's rolled over here on Monday. So let's see what 19 says. Want to be long at around 7.8. 7.8. In I'm trying to relate to the number 7.8. What pair is that? Is that Aussie possibly? Or Turkish lira. Are you thinking Turkish lira? Euro Turkish lira. That would be close, I think. Let's take a look at that. There is the. Let's take a look at that. 7.8 would be more the dollar, right? Because we're in the tens. So there's the Turkish lira. Yeah, 847. Okay, so it could be Turkish lira, and you're looking at the dollar side of it. And then when we go and look at it in the euro side of it, you know, it has led us better in direction, the euro side of it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is interesting. Very interesting stuff going on here. You know, King Dollar seems to, you know, just when you think, okay, maybe, you know, we'll see it sell down, it just turns around and lifts back up. Now the euro doesn't seem to be able to have the same. Wonder if they're, you know, remember the euro and the dollar are kind of cousins more than they are competitors. And you know, we were hoping, you know, us American traders back in the 1980s, we were hoping that the euro, when created, would be a replacement in many ways for the dollar. You know, we were really hoping for that. You know, and you know, back then we followed money supply 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so forth in the United States, and we really were discouraged by following the fundamentals that had followed for so long, you know, with Bretton Woods and so forth. And I guess we had to take in consideration gold now being an open player. But we were really disappointed on how much it skewed our statistics. You know, it really did. It drove us crazy. So, oh, I see that. You can't see that either. Let's do that. Right there. There's that Turkish lira. So, yeah. If I see an agreement following with a handshake, then I'm in. Yeah, I hear you. I do. You know, I'm not really comfortable with as strong a dollar. I mean, they love it here, but you know, we're an island. We really are an island. I know we're a continent. We're North America and a continent. We have Mexico and Canada, but we're in many ways we're an island, and we produce so much, and so we're not as dependent on a strong dollar as much as we are dependent on a smart government. When our government is really stupid and does stupid things, that's when we have issues like inflation. So it's not the same. Like Turkey is not an island. You know, Europe is not an island. They're influenced by a lot of outside sources. Obviously, the U.S. Federal Reserve is one of them. So it's a lot different situation. Anyway, that's where we are. And the Turkish lira, in the euro side of it, you can see is in a daily sell for 4 days, and in a weekly sell for, what's that, 2, 4, 6, 7 full weeks. So it is pressing down. It is pressing down. There we go. What I said. Thank you. Yeah. We try to be pretty factual here. We really fight to be factual here. We use the primer of our quantitative mathematics as a proof, since it's ahead of usually almost everything. Even insider trading, most of the time it catches that. Once in a while it doesn't, but I mean most of the time it will. It'll catch what is known by everybody. Or let's say insiders. Caught by insiders. When the insiders are doing something, we usually spot it, ahead of time. We don't understand it because it's the insiders doing it. And then when it starts to really roll over and then the story comes out, it's like, oh, our quantitative math picked it up. It's interesting. So, all right, where do we go from here, traders? Let's see, we've done, what have we done here? We've done the Turkish liras and gold, not gold, in dollar and euro. We've seen 3 of the majors. So now we go to the Canadian, which is the 4th major, right there. And you can see that it's fighting to go up today. We were in a weekly buy all the way up into this week. You can see it. And look at it, it's dropping underneath there. Usually that's indicative of seeing like stronger oil. So I'm sure that when we go and look at oil this morning, we might see cancel. Let's try it again. There it is. We might see a firmer oil, I'm guessing, just a wild guess. But what's a little odd is we're getting a very short-term pop-up, which is a loss in value. So that's kind of curious. Here we go and start to slide into a weekly sell, and we're in a daily sell coming in, and what does it do? It's going to do a daily buy today on us. So our quantitative mathematics is telling us to stand clear, saying stand to the side. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. Now let's take a look at crude oil. See what usually it represents the action in gold, which is going up in value, and it's in a weekly buy, but flirting. Oh, now it's the weekly sell is was minus. Now it seems to be, where is it at now? It's a plus. It's moved back to plus. Look at that. Plot 1 is a 0.01, now 0.2. It's so tight. Oh my God, so firm. I want to say something crude, but I'm not allowed to. But anyway, you can see there, and then I guess what we do is we jump over to crude oil. I was going to flip it to October, but I'm going to give it another, it doesn't expire until like Monday or something like that. So I'm going to, maybe Thursday we may switch to October. We'll see, we'll watch this action in it, just to keep in touch, and maybe we'll have both of them up there at some point. But you can see here, crude oil is going down, which is not what I was expecting the way the Canadian's acting. But then the Canadian is screaming at us to be neutral, so maybe it is, I don't know. And you can see here, crude oil, which closed in a weekly buy, when we sent this out this morning, it was up. And crude oil was, not far off from it was unchanged. Now they're smacking it. So, and you can see it's putting pressure on the weekly. The weekly is now minus 0.03. So, let's see, 19 says, I know you you're one of a kind who is, I'm a real screwball. I'm a real goofball. Yeah, I hear you. I am one of a kind. I know you are one of a kind who is at the winning side, mostly with your own mask. Yeah, this is true. There's well. Remember, also derivative traders. I'm a 40-year plus derivative trader, options derivative trader. So usually we get it right. 8.5 out of 10. And then when we get it wrong, usually our risk factor is relatively low. It's not too damaging. And so yeah, that's the way we trade, and that's the way we are. I make my mistakes once in a while too, like everybody else. But overall, yeah, we're right on the curve usually. We're on the winning curve. And so you can see here, this is telling us, the math is trying to tell us that there's pressure here. They're going back into a sell again, which is kind of curious. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. All right. And remember, traders, if you have a desire to see anything at all, just give a yell. Just throw it. You don't even have to ask. Just throw it up there. Just like, oh, there it is. Maxine just put up oh, yeah, that's right. We looked at that. Yeah, U.S. dollar against the Turkish lira. Exactly. So, yeah, just throw them up there and we look. I don't know if we went through it that closely, but you can see 3 days in a sell and a bunch of weeks in a sell, 2, 4, 5 full weeks in a sell. Hasn't done that good, I guess you could say. It did. It picked up the weekly sell, and here, it rolled over. We got that wild move, but we had a daily buy. Stopped losing a lot of the win, and then what was it? How to play out? Oh, and then it bounced, and you couldn't be long for it. Just made sure you weren't short for it. That was a good thing. And then we fell back into the sell again, and you're making money again. So that's what 19 is talking about there. All right. Let me see. Where do we go from here? We saw the Canadian. So now what we do is we actually go and look at gold and silver and so forth. We go into the quasi-currencies, the metals. And we take a look at that again, and you can see there's gold not, and you can see, oh, look at that. Even the weekly now is even turning up more. Now it's 10, 9, 10. Before we were looking at it, was 2, 1, 2. Now it's, it's showing more and more buying again. And then we go over and we look at the silver. Oh, if only silver would get its legs up, just get it going. We're just having tough times there. It closed in a buy on Friday, but it's in a weekly sell, so you really can't. And then look at this. That's what we set out this morning. It was in a sell this morning. Now it's cleaning itself up a little bit. Let's do a Control R on that. There we go. Oh, there you go. Is that right? Yeah. So now we've got a green dot, and the daily is above. Reminds me of an old song at camp. Tarzan. Tarzan. Swinging on a rubber band. Yeah, look at that. So it's popping back up again. Tarzan. Yes, indeed. Look at that. So the silver is showing some life. Now we would just love this weekly to lift up and give us a sign. Oh, silver god, give us a sign. So, and that is where we're at with the silver. At least it's starting to show more life. That's probably why the weekly in the Canadian. Let's go over to the Canadian again. Let's do it on J4X. Let's look at the Canadian. Probably why the Canadian is trying to show some life on a weekly basis. Tarzan. Ah, right there. There it is. Come on, fill in. There it is. You can see it's sideways and trying to lift. No, it actually, well, I guess it would be, strength would be down, like that action right there. And it would look like it was starting that, and we went into our weekly, and then look at this, the daily starts to perk up. It could do this, it could do a quick, we've seen on a short term where it does that, like it's trying, and then all of a sudden it rolls right over. So, Tarzan. All right, and then let's take a look at platinum. take another peek at that, and we'll take a look at natural gas too. See what natural gas is doing on the energy side since we've seen crude. We'll visit crude also. There's Aki Daki Platinum moving sideways at the moment and in a daily sell for 2 days, but being in a weekly sell now. You can see it on fact check spreadsheet. It was at line 7. It's 15 weeks now in a sell. We've been in a sell all the way back to right there. Let's make it biggish. There you go. So we've been in a weekly sell since the 1200s, and now we are trading. We were trading in the 900s, and now it's climbed up a little bit, but now we've pushed ourselves into a sell on Friday, and you can see today's daily did make new low from the last couple days, but has perked its little head back up again. And then let's take a look at natural gas. Since we've seen there's the crude, let's see what natural gas is doing right there. That's November gas. It's perked its head up on the upside. Let's give that a control R. And it's not really climbing up, but we've got a volatility signal starting to kick out. So maybe something's brewing here. And we're in a weekly buy for a long time, all the way back to here. Look at that. We've been in a weekly buy since the 280s, 270s, 280s. And that's back in April, and it has gone through the whole summer, lifting up into the 420s or 30s or something like that. And it's still in a buy, traders, right here and right now. It does not want to give up. It does not. Indeed. Engage. Just like Captain Picard. Engage. Or Zephyrin Cochrane. He used the word engage when he first developed the alleged warp drive. Alright, and so that's where we are with these things here. We can see this energy complex is fighting with itself. Nat gas is going up and crude oil is going down. Gold is going up and silver is going up. So we're going to retune into the currency pairs again. We'll take a look at the South African Rand. See if it's picking up some of that pressure. Now that the Zuma situation sounds like it's cooled off a little bit here. Right there, not here. Let's see, what was I looking for? Oh yes, ZAR. Zul. Where is it? South African Zul. Dollar Zul. There it is. ZAR. The South African Rand. Sideways. Trying to climb up into a buy. We're getting a volatility signal. Been in a weekly buy since back in here. So maybe it'll start to roll over with the metals complex trying to get some strength in there. Then we slide over to the ruble. Ruble was selling off. It was kind of interesting. We slid into the weekly sell now last week. This week we're still in it again. So it's one full week and a weekly sell now. That's what it says on Mr. and Mrs. Fact Check. Right there. And you can see it over on line, where is it at? Mr. and Mrs. Ruble. Right there, line 18 under the Turkish lira. 1 week in a sell, 3 days in a sell. It has been an interesting short. It is higher today than it was on Friday though, but not too bad. Still looking okay to be short. Then we slide over to the Mexican peso. Why don't we do yen? We'll do yen and then we'll come to the North American continent. And you can see here the yen went into a sell on Friday, right there. And let's put that buy in too. There's the buy. And at the same time, we're still in a weekly sell now for 3 full weeks. So you could be short coming in on Friday, so that's cool. It's a winner chicken dinner. And you can see it on the fact check line, what is that, 18 maybe? Line 18, yeah, 19. Line 19 underneath ruble. 3 weeks in a sell, 1 day in a sell. Then, and Max, you know, that's another thing too. How many market technicians put a fact check spreadsheet following their historical predictions. You know, in other words, today, last week, 3 months ago, on the screen every day. It's on the screen every day. Isn't that cool? I think that's the bigger thing with me. I really do. I like the idea that, you know, we wear our performance on our sleeve, as they would say. You know, it's right there to be seen on the fact check spreadsheet all the time. All right, and now what we'll do is we'll slide over to the Mexican peso. Singing a song from a movie, a Mexican song. Come on, where are you? Peso. Dollar MX. There it is. There she is. And she's slid into the weekly sell last week. We're just winning by a hair of our chinny chin. And at the same, let's just double check it. Yep, zeros. Minus 0.0108. Yep, so it's in a minus on the plot one. You see it's at 201 minus. And the daily is trying to perk through the manifold a little bit in here, but we've got a red dot and so forth going on, so we're not that concerned about it. All right, so that's the other 4 pairs that we look at. You know, and then from there we kind of slide away over into the more of the commodity side again. But if anybody wants to see a currency pair, we'll go back to it with no problem. So then we can take a look at stock indices this morning. I think they're down. So let's do the short-term view. Right there you can see the Tech 100. That's what they call that. Let's move that over a little bit like that. It's down 45. It has been lower today. There's 44.75, 45.25. This is running on a very fast tick. 369 contracts actually. Every 369 contracts creates a bar. It's good old Mr. Tesla. And then you can see the S&P 500 minus 14.25, and it's also coming up from lows. And then the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the great gray lady, right there, down 107, which was much lower. It was down to 240, so it was 70 points lower. It was down 175 points or so at one point. So that's kind of chilled out. Oh, let me move that over. There we go. Let's see. Can't see. Sorry about that, Middle Age. How you doing? Good morning to you. How about that coffee? What's it doing today? Coffee Olay. And so now we'll take a look at them on a daily basis. Right there. And so there's the NASDAQ. It's down. But at the same time, you can see the daily, went into a daily yesterday, and it's still in a weekly. So it's just trying to shake the tree a little bit on the weak hands. That's about it. It's no real big thing. Tell you, when we get to the Dow Jones Industrial Average, it's saying a lot this morning. We'll see what's going on there. You can see the S&P 500, same situation, a daily buy for a couple of days and a weekly buy. So the little selling that's going on is just background noise. Then the Dow Jones Industrial Average, you see, it is fighting. Let me refresh it at the moment. But when we sent out the charts this morning, that's where they were. And it's still in a daily sell. It's trying to be in a daily sell. We'll see how that goes. But look at the weekly. It's telling the story. They don't care. No interest at all. I know. You see the gold? Let's go back to the gold for you. And silver. Right there. You can see it's battling its way up. It closed in a daily and a weekly buy on Friday, and it's saying to you, you can be long or you'll be wrong. And then this morning when we sent the charts out, it was underneath. I can even get rid of that now. It was underneath. The weekly was down below. Now silver, unfortunately, can't get out of that weekly sell. I'm just going to give it another refresh, but it just doesn't have the energy or something. I don't know, it just doesn't. It's trying. Look at the green line. At least it's trying to come up towards the time manifold. That's nice. You know, it's at 39. You know, minus 39 compared to the 0, 0, 0, 0. And the daily is at the highs of the day, which is kind of cool, but it's still minus for the day. So it's that silver cannot get its action together. Yes, it is. That is exactly what it comes down to. That's exactly what it comes down to. And you know, there are more nuances on here. I can, if you know, when people ask to look at a product, I try to pull out other nuances of the math. Like we use the basics of the math right now. You know, we're looking at the zero line, you know, the signal itself. The zero line on the weekly. We're looking at a 1 and 2 standard deviation of the time manifolds. You know, and in many ways, it's kind of interesting when that gets moved up, like we did. Let me just show middle age. Check this out. Someone asked for. Robin said to me, someone wants to see if you have anything that'll give a projection. And I said, yeah, you know, we do have something. It's the gas, and it does give a projection. And you know, here it is. What we do is we take a gas, we put it on. It's the beta of the weekly, but we put it on the daily, and then we put it, encompass it over the daily chart, and you can see when it's above the 2 standard deviation of our time manifold, you see how it holds up, and then you can see when it breaks through it. These are the nuances I'm talking about. There's a lot of nuances in this math that we don't discuss because no one really asks, or you know they're just trying to get into the basics on a day-to-day basis of the zero line. You know, like right here in gas line 5, or you know, in this thing here, gas line 7, or yeah, you know, exactly. And so we don't really talk about some of the nuances. I do once in a while. I'll say it off the cuff. You know, I'll mention it. Besides the zero lines, confirming the directions, which is the highest percentiles. But there are other nuances out of the mathematics that can really, like the red and green dot. I mentioned that. You know, when you see one of those, you know volatility is coming around the corner over the next couple of days. And sure enough, you know, you see this right here. What happens? Bango. I mean, you know, that thing went from 1820-ish, 1830th, in just 3 or 4 trading days, even 5 if you put it out there, to 1720. And it gives you a warning something's coming. It did it right here. See it right there. It's really tiny and small. There's the red, there's the green, the volatility signal. The next day, you know, we see it close there. The next day, the bloody thing takes off, what, 50, 60 points or something crazy. You know, where was it? It settled at what? It settled at 1804.60. The next day, it closed at 1835. From what? 1804. So it went $31 overnight. You know, the nuances, you can see it here. It starts a nuance right there. There's the red, there's the green. It goes from 1767, and 4 days or 5 days it goes to 67. That's $53. So, excuse me, the nuances are there. And there's more. The lines can do that. The way it treats the nuances. Here's another nuance. You know, when we widen this out, let's widen out the daily. You know, it's a classic. There's a lot of information. When you see the green line just turning off the lows, you know, or coming off the highs, breaking the time manifold, no matter how big, if you know, when it was up here, it was higher, or right here, it hit it and drops. There are nuances to tell you, especially with a volatility signal. Haha, no. Yeah, you know, you want to be careful there. You know that this baby wants to it's trying to tell you it wants to go down hard, and sure enough, it does. Now in this case here, it took like 8 days, but it went what 40 points or 60 points or something like that. You know, the nuances. There's a lot of nuances there that you know we don't discuss that have value, and that's why you know we send our charts out. We offer to help people understand our charts, and we talk about the nuances. We have one trader. He's like 80 some odd years old. He was our first customer. Okay, because Rob and I just started this. I mean, Rob and I have known each other for decades. We traded on the floors together. We talk every day, or we talked about strategies. He was working for somebody else. You know, he worked for a timing service with somebody else. And Robin said, "The guy's treating me horrible." I said, "Well, be my partner, and you know, we'll start a service of our own then. You know, we got great math. What's the difference?" And you know, Robin was using the math in any way he would use it. You know, because he was following my math. He was getting something every day for decades. And so, what's my point? I think I got lost here. The nuances. There's nuances in this stuff. You know, there is a lot more. And so someone asked, they said, you know, Robin said to me, someone wants to see if you have something that could help us understand how high this might go on this move right here. And I said, well, you know, just look at the standard deviation time manifolds. See how it's bouncing out of it. Look for it to try to run to the top part like it does here. It runs from here to there. You know, it hesitates on top of it, keeps on trying to climb, and then it starts to break down. You see our green line breaking down, so you know that there's weakness just like there was here. But what was really tipping me off is I knew that I saw it above the time manifold. And when I saw the product, you know, fighting to stay physically above the time manifold, you know, because I trade it myself. So I'm not showing you everything solely because people's eyes glaze over. You know what I mean? They just get bored. But as Max 19 said, you know, yes, I totally agree with you. Staying dynamic is essential for this job that we are in. And that's what I do. And if you want to see it, I'm right here. We're willing to show it. I'm not hiding it to hide it. I'm hiding it so that I don't bore some people. So, oh yeah, I know what it was. I was talking to you about our oldest customer. So Robin and I start this back in, I guess, March, April of last year, right? Yeah. And this one guy who's a cattle trader, he's like 82 or 83 years old, sees our work and instantly locks in. He's been a customer since day one. And he don't even need explanations. And the guy pays like days ahead of time when he just sends a payment days ahead of time. He's like, you know, he recognizes it. He sees every nuance. This old trader knows every nuance on his own. We didn't have to tell him. He doesn't glaze over. But you know what? There are traders that glaze over. You know, there's too much noise. You know, I mean, there's way too much information. They get trapped and they don't know how to, you know, it becomes noisy. Now, trust me, there's not really that much going on here. If you follow the zero lines, you know, with the histogram or the green line, because, you know, they're going to be one and the same, basically. All this is re-emphasizing. In many ways, the gas, the gas is a lot easier in some ways because it uses more of a standard deviation situation, and it only will give you a histogram. Matter of fact, I can show you. It'll give you the histogram for the zero line. Where is it at? Right there. It's the histogram. There's the histogram. So it's the same thing as the gas line. No difference really. But it doesn't have the green line. So it doesn't have, the green line is a 2 standard deviation. The plot 4 here, when you look at this, not that. When you look at the gas line, what happens is that plot 1 and the plot 4 is the green line, and the green line is a 2 standard deviation. So it's basically doing the same stuff that the gas is doing, only differently in a sense of the visual of it. Okay? So notice, like, see how the green line is roaring through the time manifold here? Well, instead of this having the green line, it has a 2nd standard deviation right there. It's the same thing as the green line. They're both the same. You know, the green line is the same thing. Only, you know, it's just viewed differently, that's all. And so you can see the histogram looks identical. See? You know, it's the same gig. The white bars are hiding it. You know, they're plus there. That's all. So, see right there, you see plot 1 is 31, I guess it is, on there maybe. I don't know. They're plus. This is just, oh yeah, this is also a 7. This is a 5. So they're different. They're different betas. Volatilities. Low beta, high beta, that type of thing. So I think that's kind of cool. Talking about Doc's work. Glad to do it. Let's make it invisible again, or people will get issues. There we go. And so there's the nuances there. That's exactly what Max 19 is saying. You need to go with the dynamic. What is dynamic? And this math can be more dynamic than you realize. Not just looking at a zero standard line. Hence, when you look at J4X, okay, the way we have it set up, you can see the slow and fast stochastic, which I use to smooth my math out with. That's why they correlate very well. Not only that, I'm using the same concept as my math. I am looking at something relative to something else. I'm using a way of using mathematics in a differential equation way, a Euler way, what makes the stochastic work, So I hope that helped out. Let's see, did I do it? Let's see, let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. Let's see, we are in. Oh, here, Middle Age says, very interesting, Doc. Looks like it's trying to project 1810, you think? Oh, on gold. Yeah, it's even talking even higher, 1840. See it right there? So not only is it, there's your 1810, sometimes it'll cut right through it and go up to the 2 standard deviation. Wouldn't be surprised it's at a 3 standard deviation. I just never, I don't think I programmed in a 3 standard deviation, but I can. It wouldn't be that hard. I can probably, and we'd have to give it a new name, from gas to gas line. The reason why it's called gas line is because one of the standard deviations becomes a line. So instead I used to call it a line compared to a gas. They're both gases, same mathematics. One is using the plot 4 as a line. The other one is using it as a time manifold. And we could come up with a third one if you wanted to see imagine looking at the standard deviation even further out. It basically, in many ways, you're looking at the beta of it. The way they follow high beta stocks versus low beta stocks. It's a standard deviation, looking at the elasticity of how far something can go. Yeah, exactly. That's another one. We've talked about that. Middle Age. That's a good one. Matter of fact, let's see if we can find what Coffee's doing today too. Open workspace. Right there. There we are. Let's see what the coffee looks like for you before we get off today. Yeah, when you get it, when the time manifold gets tight, like right there. Well, first of all, when it widens, there's your tight for your move up here. Just like there was your tight for the move down. It starts now. If we move that over a little bit, like so, you can see it was cruising along. Time manifold's getting tight. It gets extremely tight there. Sometimes we see it almost kisses. Look, when it gets that tight, watch out for the elasticity, explosion. And if the green line is above the 0 line, the chances are it's going to be 8.5 out of 10 times it's going to be up. And if you're using derivatives, options or binaries, you can be a winner chicken dinner pretty easy. And who can say that in trading? I'll tell you that. Now look at there's what is that? That's tags. So that's the grains. The grains are showing strength this morning. And let's give that a refresh. They haven't even started coffee yet. Surprised. Let me just double check it. See if we have the right. Is it a pre-market? We should have the pre-market in there. Let's see if it is. Yeah, it's got the pre-market in there. So I'm a little surprised that it didn't show us anything. I wonder what the quote is. Let me see what the quote is. They're bidding 51.77, offered at 81. Oh, okay, yeah, it's higher because it's settled at 51.18, and there is a 51.77 bid for 1,200, and an offer of 100 at 81. So this thing's going to roar up about 75 cents. So it's moving up. And we've been in that weekly buy in this thing for a while, haven't we? Hell. We've been in a buy since April. Since this thing was down in the low, mid to low 30s. Right? 34, 33. No, 38 that is. 34, 35. No, it's 38. 38 in here. So, what is that? 30. We'll round it out and call it 38, but it says closed at 38.49. Alright? And now this thing has gone as high as in the weekly buy to 58. God, that's like a 50. It's almost a 50% move. It's made a giant move in the weekly buy, and didn't we just have another one of those? It did that a long time ago. Yeah, the last one back in July of last year, right? Yeah, July of 2020. We went into the weekly buy. The thing went from 30. Where the hell's that scrolly thing? It went from 30 to 40 before it even, before it even tried to roll over. It rolled over. It didn't give us the weekly sell signal, though. It was interesting. And then it stayed along there. Just gave us a daily sell at the top, which was kind of cute. So you're not long, but you're not short. You missed the ride. Who cares? You made money. The idea is to make money, not trade. And then it goes back into the buy again, right here, at 32. And the thing goes roaring all the way up to where? 38 in the weekly buy, 38. 40-ish almost, man. Maybe that's 39. No, 38.75 is the high there. It's still in the weekly buy there, right? No. Yeah, no. Falls into the weekly sell for a couple weeks. Right here. And in a daily sell from here. Still one of these. Right there. There's the daily sell. So you're staying in a daily sell. It does throw you in a buy here for a couple days. But I guess you're in a weekly buy. It's safe. For a day or two you make some money and it goes right back into, steal another one of these red things. Where are they? Let's see if we can find another one. Steal that one. Then it goes back into the sell. Right there. Either way, it's been catching a lot of great. And then it goes into the buy. Gets into the buy right in here in the middle of that week. And so make sure you don't get trapped. It protects you. That move from 36 up. It's been pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of nuances, traders. Let's see. Very interesting. Middle Age says, I've noticed when time manifold... Yeah, exactly, when it gets tight. All right, traders. This is Doc. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll be here. I think we'll get rolling along so I can start trading. Because we do eat our own cooking, as they say in the hedge fund industry. We do eat our own cooking. In other words, we trade also. So this is Doc from North America. Now look at that. What? Okay, they finally opened it. They got it opened at 75 and now it's trading at 52. Let me see what the quote is. The bid and ask is 48 at 61. So it's still nice and firm. Giving us a little red dot. Look at that. The daily is trying to break down a little bit, but we're in weekly buy, so all that is a buying opportunity again when it starts, then this green line starts to turn up. See how it, look how it will hit the time manifold on a 1 standard deviation. That'll be interesting. Now in this case here, if we take these lines and move them up, because this is the weekly, and it may give us more insight, but that's the way it goes. All right, this is Doc. Happy trails to you until we meet again. That'll be tomorrow on Tuesday. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends at Dukascopy and the world. All right, au revoir.